Hey, welcome back to Sales Mateys, the podcast where our job is to make sales easier for you. Now, last week we talked about the three things that you have control on, and it's your mindset, right? It's behavior, attitude, and technique. And those three things, if we think about it, control my success. If I don't have the right attitude, then I'm probably not going to do the behaviors, right? I'm not going to do the things I need to be doing. I don't feel like it. And if I don't feel like doing the things I'm going to be doing, technique wise, I'm not going to get any better at it. So I'm not going to improve my skill set if I'm not even trying to do anything. Right. So attitude, your mindset makes a huge difference on how you deal with things. So where's your mindset at? So we talked about it last week. And think about that is where's your head at? Are you at a 10, a level 10 about yourself, about your business, about your self-confidence of the marketplace itself? Because if you're not, that in itself is going to be trouble. So how do you look at the good, right? How do you look at what my wins are? And one of the things I think you should be doing every day is when you're done with the day, instead of spending the time on Facebook or whatever, take a journal and journal your three wins for the day before you go to bed, right? End with success. What was it that was made yesterday a successful day? And every day was successful, right? You're alive. You did something. Even if you didn't make a sale, you probably learned something. So what did you learn? So end every day so that the next morning you wake up with a little bit more of a positive attitude because you just came off a great day. And then you'll do the things you don't like doing. And then you can practice some things. So think about that and how you're implementing that. Now, this week, I want to talk about perhaps some skill set. But once again, if you're not even thinking about this, if you don't create this a behavior, you're not going to get it. So the skill set I really want to talk about today is building rapport. Oh my goodness, there's probably a ton of books on building rapport, and everybody talks about every selling system, you got to have rapport, which I agree. But most people don't know what rapport is. They think it's about talking about the pictures on someone's desk or the fish on the wall. That's not rapport. Those are conversations. You really got to understand the people you're talking to. And this is one of the reasons why at Sandler we talk that a salesperson is a psychiatrist on stage. So if you really think about it, how are you understanding the people you talk to? Too often we walk into somebody and we can't wait to talk about us and our stuff. What do you think that does for rapport? They don't care about your stuff. So the minute you walk in, you try to mesmerize me or impress me with your knowledge or your stuff you sell, and all you're doing is boring me, and you're not building rapport. But if you did walk in and say, hey, how long have you had this business? How long have you been a CEO? How long have you been a plant manager? And what do you love about this business? What do you hate about this business? If you get to know me rather than trying to sell me something, you're more likely to build rapport. And once you get rapport, you're more likely to let me buy from you. So what are you doing to build rapport? And here's the thing is you got to remember rapport is not something you get and you keep. Rapport is something you fight for every time you talk to somebody. You got to realize that you meet me, we build rapport. I like you. You're a nice person. You like me. You leave. And guess what? You come back in 2 weeks. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happened in my life in 2 weeks. You got to get rapport back with me, right? And too often salespeople forget about this. They think they had a great conversation about the baseball game or something last 2 weeks ago, and they don't have to worry about rapport. Think about yourself in your personal life. I've been married for 48 years, and I guarantee you this weekend at some point, I'll break rapport with my wife. And the minute that happens, I know I broke rapport. I can sense it. And the minute I sense I broke rapport, I do my best to get it back because I like nice weekends. And so do you sense when you break rapport with customers or prospects? And by the way, if you're doing the sales correctly, you're going to break rapport at some point because you're going to ask a tough question, because your job is to get that person in pain, enough pain where they want to do business, where they have to change. If there's no reason for me to change, then why would I buy from you? And if that reason is painful enough, I'm going to buy from you, which means you got to ask some tough questions. You got to put me in a spot I don't like being in. You got to make me look at my ugly baby that I've been trying to ignore, and you're telling me it's ugly. You might break a little rapport, but a good salesperson knows when they broke it and they know how to get it back. So first of all, if you don't even know how to get rapport in the first place, you ain't going to know how to get it back. And this is the most important study you have to do as a salesperson, because without rapport, you ain't going to get a customer. Now, you might get a sale, but the sale is probably on price, and it's only going to last as long until I find somebody I like. So I want you to think about when we communicate with other human beings, I want you to really think about how we communicate with people. There's 3 ways. And, scientists have come up, or psychologists come up with different numbers to this, but I want you to understand the concept of it. Basically, there's 3 ways we communicate with other people. 55% of the way I communicate with other people is through body language, right? We've all had somebody that sat there and did one of these to us, right? Closed their arms, sat back and said, yeah, we'll do it. My body language said, no, I ain't going to do it. But you heard what you wanted to hear. You heard those words. And so you went running thinking I got one when my body totally shut down. And some of you might leave one of those meetings and go, I don't feel good about this meeting. It's because you read the body language. Subconsciously, we read this. And if we pay attention to it, it's called intuition or instinct. Trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. When you don't feel good at a sales call, that's not a bad thing. The bad thing is if you leave and not say anything about feeling bad about a sales call. You got to have good conversations with people. So the other 38% of the way you communicate is through tonality, volume, pitch of my voice, right? Mom used to say, Mom could call your name 3 different ways, 3 totally different meanings. And you knew from the tonality or the volume of her voice if you were in trouble or you're getting a cookie. And 7% of the way I communicate is through the words that come out of my mouth. So 93% of the way I communicate is through not the words, through nonverbal communication. So if you're going to get rapport, you've got to get really good at reading people. So you should be buying all the books. You should be doing a DISC program. If you haven't gone through our DISC program, you should sign up for one and go through it, because rapport is more important. You're not going to close me if you don't have rapport. I don't care how good your closing techniques are. You can close me and then I'm canceling the minute you walk out of my office. So rapport is so important. So how do you read people, right? I'd love to spend it here. We don't have enough time, but this is more important. So email me, tom@salesmadeeasy.com. Subscribe. We are going to be having a master class coming up. So if you want the master class, you want to come into that about rapport, please email me, tom@salesmadeeasy.com, or just click subscribe and say you want in. And I'm more than happy to get you an invite to that. But it's really about building rapport. So you can't do anything unless you have rapport. And I really want you to think about rapport. Psychologists think about it, right? Rapport is when our brain thinks the same way, when our brain moves in the same way. How are you getting rapport? And you might even test it. If I'm sitting with somebody and I believe I'm talking their language, right? My body language matches and mirror them. My speed of my voice matches and mirror them. My tonality matches and mirror them. What we talk about matches and mirrors them. There are people that don't want to talk about details. They just want bottom line. Give me bullet points. And there are people that are very analytical, that don't want bullet points, they want explanations. Do you understand this when you're getting in front of somebody? There are also people that don't care about bottom line or care about the details. They care about other people. They care about their team. Do you know the difference? Because if you walk into that person that really understands that they want their team to be better, and you start talking that if they buy your stuff, that they'll be able to get rid of some of their full-time employees. While the detail person and the bottom line person might like that, the people person will not buy from you. So do you understand rapport? Before any of the techniques, please, if you want some tips, you want some my top 4 building rapport techniques, email me, tom@salesmadeeasy.com. More than happy to get that to you. And by the way, rapport happens within seconds. In a cold call, you can get rapport. That's how you get the next meeting. In an email, you can get rapport if you understand how to talk to me. And with AI, it's easier than anything to get rapport in today's world. So that's it for today. I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about rapport again next week. Just a little feedback. Love to hear if you want to comment about how you get rapport, techniques you use. Feel free to throw it into the comment. And maybe other people can learn from the stuff that you're doing. So it's good to see everybody again. We'll see you next week on Sales Made Easy, the podcast where our job is to make your job in sales easier.